You know, I'm going to be breaking a rule of mine today, a code that I've been holding dear for a long time. And today, just to call this show KWC, Kopi with Chris, it's not so appropriate. You know why? Because those of you who've been watching my show, you all know, and I make it public, that I'm quite the teetotaler. But today, just for today, I am making an exception to the rule. I'm going to break my code. Because why? I've got whiskey water with me. And the reason why I've got whiskey today, for the first time in many, many years, I'm actually going to take a drink, is because I have a wonderful gentleman with me. He's known throughout the circles, all circles in Singapore, especially in the nightlife circle. He's known as the king of Singapore's nightlife. And I have with me on the show today, Mr. Dennis Foo. Dennis, welcome.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure, sir. As a matter of fact, as I was saying to you before the camera started rolling, I am awestruck. Absolutely awestruck to have you with me today. There's so many things that I've heard about, been to almost all of your clubs during my younger years especially, and had so many friends that used to work for you.
With me.
A lot of them, and who said wonderful things, about you. And then, of course, your reputation certainly precedes you. And today, sir, if you don't know, I actually stopped drinking for many years.
Wow.
I have. Then when we know that you were coming, I said, no, we got to make sure that we have at least a celebratory whiskey with you. And that's the reason why you and I have this today. So it's never too early.
Cheers.
And cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers, Dennis.
Lovely.
So today is going
How
to
is
be...
it like, the whiskey?
Familiar. It's something familiar now. Gee, producers, thank you for getting me off the wagon. I fell off just because of that one drink. But it's for you, and out of respect, sir, that's the reason why I'm doing it. Dennis, for the benefit of a lot of people, podcasts is kind of a modern thing. Yeah. Watching shows online for many people today, it's kind of the norm. And a lot of people who do back home, they don't know who Dennis Foo is. I've already introduced you. You are known in many circles. You pick up a periodical about you, articles that's been written about you, interviews have been done with you, and one thing, when you Google it, something comes out and it says, the king of Singapore's nightlife. But here you are, having whiskey and kopi with me, a bunch of guys sitting down having a chit chat. Can you give everyone an introduction of who you would say you are?
Well, I wasn't prepared for that. But anyway, top of my head,
Sure.
I'm just an ordinary guy who enjoy, creating venues with his music. And I chased that passion all my life. Okay. And in turn, you make a lot of people happy. And also, as we grow and we learn, the true interactions, what life on the street is about,
right.
what on the ground is all about, if you can imagine. And of course, over the years, I've engaged many artists. And then I, just like just now, when I was listening to 90.5,
right,
and when the song Moment in Time, heard it thousands of times, played again, it reminds me of one of my artists. Her name is Sky.
Okay.
She started with me in the 90s, and my thoughts went, I said, hey, I sent her to New York, representing Singapore on Singapore Day, So I think about these things if I hear a song.
Right.
So it is become, it's my life. And so that moment, an hour and a half ago, my thoughts went back then. Okay. So there are many of this, as I retire now, there will be moments, and the song will strike a chord.
Sure.
And today you ask me, I Google and King of Nightlife is there. I don't know when it was, but I remember It was through a radio interview as well.
Okay.
And I think nowadays, like you say, podcast, it is not just like this on camera,
Right.
in motion,
Yeah.
and it's in print. And then you explain the whole thing is very thorough. And if you read more enough, you tend to believe something that may not be true.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
We of course we'll do our homework right before our guests arrive, and there are things that I want to know whether they're true or not. But we'll cover that as the show progresses. But right now, Dennis, you said all these things you just said, and you said you're an ordinary guy. But everything else that you said after that doesn't seem to me that Dennis Fu is an ordinary guy. It seems to me that Dennis Fu is an extraordinary guy.
Oh, I don't think I'm extraordinary, but I think I'm a bit not ordinary. Okay, not extraordinary, but really it's been a long journey. You know, almost 40 years. Wow. So almost 40 years. I actually started years ago. I mean, 40 years ago, when I was in the university. I was so happened I became the president of the Music Society, and my role then was to bring music to campus. So it started that way. And as a student with no resources, how to bring real good artists to campus. So I remember the days when I met this group, Tanya, you remember?
Yes.
Zul passed on,
Yeah.
and Talib and Boy and Alban, you know, we all remember them. And I used to be their groupie in Pebble Bar. You know, I could afford one drink then a night, and I used to bunk at their room C, which is across the swimming pool, where Forum Hotel was, and now it's Forum Galleria.
Galleria, yes.
And that was then. And I remember there was this club 392. I actually waited for hours for Rahim to appear out, and I asked her to perform in campus. So I started, and then, of course, this was well recorded in some of the articles. My father was the operator of we call it lounge and restaurant. It is more like a coffee house of old, where we serve Western food. And my father passed on after a year of his opening. Then his last word to me was to take care of the place.
This was Europa Changi.
Europa Changi, yeah. Oh, wow. So that's how I started. Then I told myself I'm not going to be behind the cash register, behind the bar. I was a part-time cashier, part-time bartender, part-time manager. Because on their off days I'll take over their room. So I told myself I'm not going to do that all my life. So I introduced music.
So initially, when your late dad started Europa Changi, there was no live band.
No live band, yeah.
And what do you? I mean, I'm sure you remember. What's the first band? Who was the first band you introduced to Europa Changi?
Wow, the first band was Adil, Adam and Ben.
Oh man.
Sorry, they were the first band that stayed long, more than 8 years. Before that, Hans Verny performed for us.
Yes, Hans. Yes. Yeah. Then after that, the band became Adam, Adil, Ben, and Hans, right?
No, and no. Adil, Adam, and Ben, and we had a drummer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yes. Because now I get it. Yeah. Because Hans played then one set, and then these three guys would play another set. Am I right to say that?
No. Then later on, when actually business became good, and we could afford another band, we brought in another rock band, real rock, called themselves Heart Attack.
Yeah.
As in HARD.
HARD, yes.
Yeah, Heart Attack.
Them.
And Jad Ali was there. And
right.
So we had two. So that was the beginning of.
But you know, Dennis, all these names that you just brought up, my goodness, all of a sudden everything comes flooding back into my head. You know, when the very first time I ended up in Europa Changi, I'm not supposed to say this, but I don't care now. I'm 50 years old, so
please.
I think I was 16. My sister brought me in. Yeah, she brought me in. And I went in there, and all I did, and you know, all I did was one drink in my hand the whole darn night, sitting in front of the stage, and just loving the bands.
Now I'm recollecting. If it's Bertha, yes, I remember now. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't the time we really sat down to have a chit chat.
Yes.
But that was the time when I saw you in the place, you know, and everyone knew that's the boss. So, you know, but I just sat quietly and watched these guys because I was a young man, haven't gotten behind the microphone yet. I mean, I did, but not really gotten hot into it.
You didn't have a beer then, did you?
I'm not saying. Okay. But it was marvelous memories. And even up to my in camp, you know, during reservists, we were just next door in Selarang camp. And every time we had a night off, all of us are in Europa Changi. You know, memories. So much memories of that place. It was a wonderful place. And, you know, frankly, thank you. Thank you. Europa. All of Europa, not just Europa Changi, have got great memories, and many people, you know, of my generation especially. Besides Changi, we were partying in Europa East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Europa East Coast, Ridley's.
Oh.
Yeah.
It used to be called Ridley Has the Rubber.
Yes, Ridley's Has the Rubber. Yes, correct. Yeah, after Sir Henry Ridley, right? Yeah. So it was a blast, man. I mean, I had such great times because of what you started. You know, and I have to say thank you because these are memories I'll never forget. You had guys like Expo.
Yes. Gino, yes. Gino, he's in touch with my wife on Facebook still.
Yeah.
He's doing very well. He's doing very well.
Yeah, he is. He's doing his Zumba thing, right?
Online
and all that. Yeah. And then the boys.
Boys band.
The bunch of guys.
Boys band,
and the number one song everyone wanted to perform is Mr. Robato.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was great. You know, I mean,
Robato had this move.
Domo arigato, Mr. Robato. Yeah, it was great. It was great. But you said that you had to bring Rahima or had to bring music to your university at the time.
Yes.
So when your dad passed on, and you took over Europa Changi,
Yes.
Did you complete your degree?
That's a good question. No.
Really?
No. I was on my final year. Well, my family was running a goldsmith business.
A goldsmith business? Okay.
I'm the eldest son. And the business kind of got in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah. And as the eldest son, I do what I can to help.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I helped. So I started borrowing money from all over as an undergrad.
Wow.
And I remember the figure I borrowed was, like you say, it's deep, so be it.
Sure, I'm glad. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so it was 144,000.
Wow.
In 1976, I think.
Well, way back when, way back then, that was a lot of money.
And I had to pay them back.
Of course, yeah.
So I came out and I sold insurance.
You did?
Yeah. I was in Great Eastern, yeah.
Wow. And for how long were you selling insurance for?
3 years.
Okay.
3 years.
And during all that time, you had nothing to do with Europa Changi yet?
Nothing.
Okay.
Until 81, I think. Because that's the year my dad passed away.
Right. And then when you took over, I mean, you already knew the workings of the F&B business by then, at that point in time?
No.
And
maybe, yeah. When I was much younger, as teenager, my dad used to operate a place in Changi as well, known as Europe Cafe.
Okay.
It was during the RAF time.
The British days.
Yeah, British days. Yeah, and so on breaks from school, I used to be part-time cashier, part-time bartender. That's all. How
Okay, so you had roles to play, but not necessarily managing.
No, not my uncles and my dad were managing it.
Okay. Yeah. So when your dad passed away, sorry to bring this up again, and he told you to take over reins of the business.
On his deathbed, he said, "Please take care of Europa, Changi."
Europa. Okay. And wasn't that like throwing you in the deep end? Didn't you feel that way?
I think it was no. It's not how I feel. It's at that time. I think Europa Changi meant a lot to my dad. Mm-hmm. So being the eldest son, and he wants this to continue. That's the message I got. Right. So I continue.
And how do you manage it? I mean, because you had.
I learned from an old man.
You learned from him?
An old man.
Right.
Behind the bar.
From an old man behind the bar.
He's the bartender. I asked him everything.
So okay.
The music part I roughly know.
So you learned management of an outlet, a nightclub. Can I call it a nightclub?
Yeah, music is nightclub.
It's music, yeah. So you learn how to do all that from a bartender.
Oh man, he at that time he probably my age, 60 plus.
Wow.
I
mean, you want to acknowledge this guy?
No, I've never thought of that.
Remember
you asked me?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
You can't.
I call him Pede. Pede in Hainanese is uncle.
Okay.
So Pede all the time. So that's how I call him.
So would you attribute Dennis Fu from that moment, Dennis Fu, to the Dennis Fu of the King of Singapore's night scene? Do you think you can attribute all that credit to that old gentleman behind the bar?
I never speak of him.
Yeah.
Until you ask me this question, how and why.
I'm glad it's happening on my show.
Then I recollect that. Because I have to ask what to do,
right.
what drinks. I don't even know what drinks.
So did he teach you COG, COF, cost of goods, cost of food, how to calculate your menu, or how to price your menu and all that?
No, the system was there.
Oh, it was already set up?
No, it was operating for 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. To set it up, no way.
Right.
So I went in, and then the marketing done by my mom. Mm-hmm. Okay. He goes to the wet market and buy. Mm-hmm. The good supplier is there. They know the order. The chef will order it.
Yeah.
And then the when it comes to the booze and everything else, the system is there.
Okay, it's set up.
But I did remember years ago. I mean, this was before my father passed on. Mm-hmm. He actually passed on because of cancer. Mm-hmm. So when he was very, very sick, I had to, handle a good part for him, especially when it comes to payment and all this.
Right.
So that part I picked up before he passed on. I remember the old Asia Pacific. Those days it's called Malayan breweries instead of Asia Pacific. Yes, I remember speaking to some accountant, pleading with him that I would be paying him. Please send a beer. Those were the experiences I
Can I just rewind your story just a little bit? Because it's the $144,000 loan you took for the benefit of your family, which is admirable, noble. Did you manage to?
I did.
Through which business? Through Europa?
Selling insurance.
Wow.
But that was 76. So it took me 3 years.
You must have done really, really well.
Oh yeah, I did quite well.
I mean, that's a lot of money to raise from commissions and sales.
Yeah, I learned to sell insurance to Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie.
The art. And I read the book.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that was sorted out. The 144 grand was sorted out through the insurance business, and after that, the rest would be history. There would be the Europa Changi, and then the Europa Changi group that started after that. Mm-hmm. So if right now, if we look at it from a holistic perspective, right, all of Europa, all the change that you've had, what do you attribute its success to? Is it would it be the music, or would it be the service, or would it be the food, or drinks?
Music.
Yes.
It's and also I was first mover.
Yeah.
I was amongst the first mover.
Okay.
I remember in the 70s, you go to watch a band in hotel lobby lounges. You go pebble bars to listen to Tanya.
Yeah.
You go to Holiday Inn, Treetops Bar to listen to Adil Adam and band. That's how I found them.
Okay.
You know, and you don't go to any other places except two. It was, I remember, there was a beer keller in Siglap.
Yes. Patrick DeMello was playing there.
Douglas started.
Douglas as well, yes.
And then Douglas Olivero.
Yes.
And there was this Peyton Place.
Yes.
Was before us. This is the only two places.
Leonard Rezel was used to play in Peyton Place.
Who?
The guitarist.
Ah, okay.
Leonard.
Leonard.
Leonard Rezel, yeah. So, okay. But there is... I need to ask you this. I mentioned to you earlier before the shoot started. This is something I just want to get off my chest. There's an urban legend, you know. Am I right to say that you had a hand in a place known as Peppermint Park in Parkway Parade?
Of course. Not a hand. I was... I brought it from... I mean, not me alone. Me and my partner. I would say partner. We had... there were four of us. But essentially, there was one that worked very closely with me. The other two are more passive.
Okay.
And then we wanted something very different, you know. And this is where, you know, you get carried away. But to be carried away in entertainment is not a bad thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I remember I was given this space. Its ceiling height is very high.
Yes, it is.
Meant to be a cinema or theater. So what to do with it? So I remember this was in '84. I got married in '80, and in my honeymoon I went to Disneyland, and I saw Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
What fascinated me was the stars, the moon created indoor. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean. I said, how nice if you can have that in the ceiling and create, you know, a venue
Right.
where you feel we're indoor, but you feel like you're outdoor. So that was Peppermint Park's beginning.
I remember because you know why? My school is down the road.
St. Patrick's.
Yes. and Pep Park. We used to call it Pep Park, you know. Yeah, lots of my friends will remember it, you know. Oh, Saturday, Pep Park.
It's amazing. I must relate this now that you know, say this. So I mentioned my partner. He's been educated in the States, and he's widely exposed. He said, Ken. I said, huh? Really? Okay, how? So he said, okay, let me go and check it out. So he got this guy called Daniel Flannery, who actually created part of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And he said, this is how you can do it. Let's engage him. You know, so it wasn't cheap, lah. So
yeah, I'm sure it wasn't cheap. I mean, to replicate Pirates of the Caribbean from the US,
the total cost,
Park, it was something else.
Yeah,
man.
the total cost 1984, 1.4 million.
Oh, just for that.
No, just for the whole project.
The whole project. Okay, that's still a lot of money back in '84.
A lot. One GCB. Good class bungalow.
One GCB in Pep Park. But how long did it last?
84, 85, 86, 3 years.
1.4 million for a cost of a good class bungalow to build an outlet like that and lasted 3 years. Yes. What happened?
Oh, it looked good.
I'm sorry?
It looked good. But the cost of operating it was too high.
Can I tell you about the urban legend now?
What?
That people back then and for many years have had this story going around about you guys and that place. Okay? I'm going to say it on camera.
Please.
Okay. Rumor and legend has it, and I'm not surprised when you said 4 partners, because this been going around that there was a falling out. Okay? And one of the partners, nobody knows who, declared that no other business that opens up in that particular space will ever do well ever again, and left a sort of a
Curse.
yes on the place. And then strangely enough, after Peppermint Park, it does seem that even up to, well, I won't say up to today, it's not right for me to say that, I get in trouble.
No.
But a lot of outlets have failed in that spot. And I'm an East Coast boy, and frankly, over the years to today, it does seem to be quite true.
I don't think so, lah. But I don't think anyone will leave a curse behind. I mean, I know my partners; they are all educated and proper, and I don't think they will give such a curse.
But then
but I can tell you something. There was something, which is spooky.
Okay, here we go. This is what I want to hear. Because I got a story to tell you about that too, the spooky thing.
Yes.
About that place. Yeah, please,
Wow,
after you, sir.
I don't know whether I should say this because I'm a bit superstitious guy. So, but there's something spooky there, okay?
There is.
Yeah, there.
You're right. Why?
I rather it past tense, so.
You know what? Because this crazy urban legend has been alive for so long. We've seen places open up there and just cannot go on. There was a place called Scorpion years later in the 90s.
You mean that venue?
Yes.
No, I remember it was the Paul Chong took over.
Yeah,
He took over.
this was way later. When I used to go down to Scorpion a bit back in the 90s, and gosh, it's bad, business. And then on top of that, it's creepy, and a lot of staff working there were telling me things.
Okay, was
about-
Scorpion a Chinese bar? Was it?
No, it wasn't.
No,
It
it
wasn't.
wasn't.
It was owned by a Japanese guy.
Okay.
Who used that? I don't know whether he's still around, but he used to own a couple of properties and stuff in Singapore, and he was one of he was the owner of the place. And I met quite a lot of the staff that became my friends, and they also tell me that's creepy as heck. So that urban legend's been around so long, man. I mean, it's hey, somebody left a curse behind, ever since Peppermint Park, it just couldn't pick up, blah blah blah. And then when you see other businesses that opened there, not just Scorpion, I mean, there were quite a number. There was a game arcade, not in recent times. There was a furniture place. There's a big mega furniture place. It became and all just couldn't, And so this myth, has been going around.
Then I must ask Michael Leong. He must know the whole history.
Yes, that's I mean, sorry, Parkway Parade. I'm not saying anything funny about this thing, but this is something that is a myth that I just want to hear from you whether you know anything about this.
Well, I didn't really follow.
Okay, let's talk about current times then. Before the circuit breaker, before COVID, there were lots of pubs and clubs that opened and shuttered sooner than expected. Is there a reason you succeeded when you started back then, and why they don't today?
Oh, this is pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Okay.
In recent times, if you compare your time to these days, these modern times now, before circuit breaker, before COVID occurred, today clubs and bars have got the power of the internet. Back then, you didn't. So if you were to make a comparison, you succeeded without all these in your hands.
Do you know why I left the business?
Why?
Because of the internet.
Well, that's weird. Okay. What?
Irony of it all. You see, we're talking about the early 2000s, it was, the business was thriving everywhere. You had Kaki
right
at its height, and we had St. James, 4,500 capacity.
Yeah.
Every Friday, we pack in more than 10,000 people. And you have the other precincts, all thriving. And we had 5 mega clubs then. I can name them.
Sure.
Zouk in Jiak Kim Street.
Sure.
Avalon at Marina Bay in the late 90s, in the late 2000s.
Yes.
Then we had this Butter Factory, and then the Zirka after MOS
Zirka,
in Clarke Quay,
Yeah.
you know. And our powerhouse at St. James.
Correct.
When I say mega club, I actually define it as more than 1,500 in capacity.
Okay.
So that's a mega club.
Okay.
So all of them are above 1,500 capacity.
Sure.
Wednesday, ladies' night, Friday, Saturdays, all 5 full.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in the early 2010s, Avalon was gone.
Yeah.
And then I would say mid 2010, 2015.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
And then we had this. Okay, 2017. Then you have Butter Factory was gone. Zouk had to move from Jiak Kim to Clarke Quay.
Correct.
And our powerhouse was different. I had to sublease out. And why? And even Zouk have to move from Jiak Kim to Clarke Quay. Brand new premises, and the only one left.
Yeah.
And yet Fridays, Saturdays, Wednesdays, they are not all full.
They're not all full.
Yeah, I mean, meaning it used to be 5 mega clubs full on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
And then when Zouk moved into a new premises, there's only one left.
Yeah.
And they can't even be full all 3 days.
Why do you think that? What's the cause for this?
People connect differently now. Because through the internet, you know, social media,
Right.
the young meet the opposite gender by connecting through the net. They don't have to pay high door charges, long queue, drink exorbitant priced drinks, and make a fool of themselves, screaming on top of their voice, trying to get to know.
You really think that? You really
all
think
over
it's
the
because
world.
of the...
All over the world.
Right.
Mega clubs are closing, or has closed.
Okay, but there are still clubs like today. We still have clubs in Singapore. Let's say, for instance,
Smaller ones.
Yeah, okay.
Smaller ones.
No, but not mega clubs.
Not mega
Okay.
clubs. Smaller ones. Very niche.
But they still have the same issue. That issue would be people are still meeting online, you know, and all that. So you're saying that with that in mind, the club business in Singapore is not going to be as hot as it used to be. Is that what you're saying?
Those days is very physical connection.
Right.
Now with internet, social media, you can connect
But-
via social media. Then you meet in places different places like over coffee,
Yeah.
in a wine bar.
Right.
You know, so they are scattered.
But you know, Dennis, it's so funny you just said this because I was okay. Some way, you know, in doing the shoot.
I hope I explained it. But
No, you
well
did.
enough. Yeah, okay.
I think all of us here, you loud and clear.
Yeah.
The people today are connecting online more than they would do physically in a space, in a physical space.
Yes.
And somewhere during the shoot, I was about to tell you, you know, some of the gorgeous girls I have had the pleasure of meeting were usually from Europa. So
Oh, really? Oh, well, I didn't know that.
don't get these young people who want to see them on a flat screen when you can see them in all the glory. You know what I mean? Meeting people face to face. You know, the warmth and aura of someone.
That's the difference today.
Oh wow.
You know, if you speak about COVID later, you'll know this is entirely completely shifted.
Yeah, because now with COVID, I mean, I don't get me wrong. A couple of episodes ago, KWC had guests from the F&B industry here with us. People like luminaries like Michael Lu, you know. Yeah.
I'm in touch with him.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great. Michael, hope you're watching the show.
Yeah.
So
And Michael Lu and Bernard Lim.
Bernard, okay.
we get together.
Still get together with Bernard, huh?
Once. In, probably a year
Hey,
ago.
Bernard Lim, you mentioned I'm gonna tag you. Okay, Michael, I'm gonna tag you too. What I like to understand is right now, given what you said, which makes sense. and the circuit breaker, and how I also advocate for businesses like in the F&B side, to come up with more innovative ideas because everything's virtual today. But it's still kind of sad, deep down inside
It's
me,
different.
I feel a little hole.
It's different.
Yeah, it's
Not
sad.
a little hole, more than a little hole.
I mean, to think about being able to tap your feet, because you've got a great band playing. I know that Dennis Wu was the man who brought in the Filipino band explosion in Singapore.
Wow, thank you for saying that.
You're the guy. No, credit where credit is due. And great guys, great bands, great talents you brought in from the Philippines, and wow.
You know which band inspired me to bring in the Filipinos? Something Special. Remember? You heard of them?
No, I'm sorry, and I don't.
Okay, there was this band called Something Special. They were award winner in this Aliu Awards in the Philippines.
Okay.
To win that award, you have to be
Amongst
amongst the best,
The best.
and at the best.
Right.
So I went to this club called Rainbow.
In Singapore?
Rainbow
Singapore.
Dr. Gopo Singh,
Yes.
remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a poet, doctor.
Yeah.
And he created Rainbow.
Yes.
And when I went there, I saw the stage, the lights, the performance. Wow. I tell you, it blew my mind. And since then, I've been mesmerized by this, and I went to the Philippines.
John Molina was on my show,
Uh-huh.
and the both of us were reminiscing about Rainbow.
Really? Okay.
He used to work as a server in Rainbow.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I said, my God, really? And yeah, so we were just reminiscing about that place.
Some very successful people started humbly in some of the night spots or past. This the chief executive of Harry's Bar. They run 21 bars now.
Yes.
Nathan. He was a bartender at Fire.
Wow.
Today yes. And today he's a corporate man. He's picked very differently, and very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And lots of passion.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
Some people grew from just being behind a bar or just being a service staff, and today they're running clubs. Yeah, it's wonderful success stories.
Yes.
Yeah. But right now, if we talk about success stories, today, given, let's say for instance, we go into phase 3, and let's say things go back to normal. What do you think nightlife entrepreneurs would need to succeed today?
Oh, I knew you were going to answer this question.
It's a staple question, right?
But I don't have the answer. I don't have complete answers.
Sure.
I might give you in parts which may not, be may not even be effective.
Sure.
Because first you can't predict when it's going to end.
Right.
They say about vaccine, until a vaccine is discovered and then tested and then distributed, and then by then, if the viruses have a twist, mutate into something, then you start off again.
Right, something's happening in Vietnam. Yeah.
That is the second wave, third wave. But you're talking about, anything can happen.
Yeah, sure.
And then theoretically, unless it goes to zero, and then you don't let it happen again, the chance of it bringing down to zero worldwide, I think is slim. So vaccine is the only hope we have now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So your question.
There's one side of it. Okay.
This is the big picture part.
Sure.
So because of this background, and then the already nightlife business is like all F&B in Singapore especially. So the cost of operation is very high. There's cost of space, cost of manpower, and then also it's very competitive. Now, if anything good can come from this COVID, it reduces the competition.
Okay.
So for those who are more committed, with more conviction, and who really is their bread and butter when it comes to nightlife, I think they will fight hard to stay on. So, like there was this survey that came out done by the Nightlife Business Association. the survey came out, 4 in 10 intend to close.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the figure may be more than that, but the demand is where it is. If demand is of past, it's no problem,
Right.
but the demand will drop for a few factors. One, capacity will be reduced for safety reasons. People need to distance.
Right.
And then the other issue is about the fear factor, the fear factor of the customers.
Sure.
Because psychologically it affects you, you know.
Right.
So a good part of the demand may disappear. So if the demand reduction is less than the number of bar closed, the situation may be better for those who are in business. So that's the equation, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, I do. Those who would be strong enough to stay in business.
Yeah. On this condition,
Yes.
that you know, the
There's a vaccine.
Yes.
The bigger picture, the
Yeah.
macro picture comes
Yes.
into play.
Yeah.
Sure. But interestingly, when you said just now, citing an example of Nathan,
Yes.
from bartender to CEO, and
Yes.
now on the corporate side of things,
Yes.
of Harry's. When we use that as an example, some become successful. Some who do that do not. Is there something about someone's character that where you could tell whether he could succeed or fail in this industry?
Well, if I have that skill, it's an art. I wouldn't be. I mean, it's not easy really to what's inherent in a person. It takes a long time to find out.
Right.
Yeah. So if you are dealing with too many people, then you spend a lot of time finding out.
But what sort of characteristics do you think someone ought to have in order to be, successful in a nightlife business? Is there some sort of personality trait or characteristic that a person must have in order for them to really build something successful in this line of work?
We use terms like, first of all, you need to be interested in this business. Okay, like any field. If you're not interested, I don't think you'll do well, even though you are very smart or gifted. You must be interested.
Right. There must be a passion.
Yeah, then passion part will come in.
Right.
Then in hard times, the perseverance, that's the part of character,
Sure.
But some people need not have perseverance because they go through good times all the time. So this time round with COVID, perseverance counts.
Being indefatigable, being determined, right?
Indefatigable.
Indefatigable.
Because this line, long hours, my friend.
Now, St. James Power Station, you gave it up when it was at its peak. You mentioned somewhere.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you read somewhere.
Yeah,
Please.
you mentioned somewhere that you decided to give it up because the industry had become saturated and your operating costs had gone up. So, do you think these?
I don't think I will say something like that.
Sure,
That's not very much me. Where do you get that from? Oh.
Well, it was
Written somewhere.
research being made by all the producers, and then the talking points are given to me. But if you wish to dispute that, you're free to do so.
That is the motherhood statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear the Dennis Fu statement then.
Okay. Actually, the reason for me it was quite clear. I mentioned a good part of it earlier on regarding social media.
Right.
But for St. James, it's there is another reason. I was approached by the owners of the building, which is the government link company, to conceptualize. First, ask me whether it can be a nightlife destination.
Okay.
And if you can I conceptualize something? I said, why not? I'll try. So when it started, I came back with this concept, multiple venues, doing different kind of entertainment, targeting different audience, and then they complement each other.
Sure.
And they like it, and they asked me whether I'll do it. I said no. First.
You said no.
First. Then they said why? I said to do that it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because the old dilapidated power station. And then they said, how would I then want to do it? So I came up with my wish list. So among the wish list, something very important is I need an underground connector between St. James Power Station and Vivo City, connecting the car park to St. James Power Station. The car park in Vivo City,
Vivo City.
they have 2,000 lots there.
Right.
St. James have only 150 lots.
Okay.
So without that connector, 150 lot cannot support 4,500 capacity.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah,
And it was done.
it was done.
How come I never knew about that? Because every time I go to the park by car, I have difficulties.
No, when it's full, no, yes, it's gone now.
Yeah.
It's gone.
At that time, yeah.
At that time, it's when you full, they'll or the valets will use that very fast. They go and park. We used to have 2 sets of valet, about 50 people working there, 25 one side on walkie-talkie.
Wow.
So you swing, and then that's how you maintain 10,000, more than 10,000 patronage every Friday.
I'm just feeling very silly because I would go round and round and round and round and didn't realize there was an underground connection, between People's City and.
Something must be wrong with my communication team. but really, that was the key, and they did it. So timing was right because the Vivo was about to be completed, before it was launched, and they had the time, and I think the area underneath that road, leading to Sentosa, I think there was not much the kind of. It was clear to have the connector.
Right.
So that was that, and then this I've said it before. I was during the Economic Review Committee in 2001. I was chairman task force for food and beverage and nightlife.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So on my own, I believe Singapore should have a casino. That was back 2001. Yeah.
That was before the casinos came to fruition, isn't it?
Casino 2009 started.
Yeah, okay.
2000 and 2001 was during the Economic Review Committee. So I was tasked to be the chair of 2 task force.
Okay.
The food and beverage and nightlife. So I did, but at that time I really believed Singapore should have a casino.
Okay.
So on my own, I tried to convince the chairman of the tourism working group, who was the chairman of the tourism board then.
Okay.
That I should do this paper. So I did the proposal.
So
against nobody believes Singapore can ever have a casino then. Yeah.
So today, with the casinos we've got in Singapore, is it safe to say that it is because of the paper you wrote?
That was okay. I thought for a long time. In fact, I was given an award for lifetime achievement for outstanding contribution to tourism in 2010.
Okay.
So I believe,
there was,
and in the citation it was mentioned, in part, besides the contribution to nightlife in Singapore. But later, I found out, yes, partly, but not totally.
But you were definitely a catalyst for it, starting.
That's for sure. But I really pushed very hard, really very hard. Among one of my arguments was, I said, the casino is already here. What are you talking? They're in the form of floating ships, plowing our waters.
Yes. The cruises. Yeah.
Sucking money out of Singaporeans, pay no taxes, create no jobs. It's already here.
Yeah.
This is among many arguments.
Sure.
So, but anyway, in this, I found out much later that actually, had it not been for SARS, there would never be a casino. Because of SARS and what I will use the term what government it wasn't a pandemic then, but what SARS can do to tourism.
Yes.
So you need to build more pillars, I think. So casino and IRs became one pillar.
Sure.
Yeah. So and it done very well for Singapore, But
in today's context, with this pandemic?
Okay, the reason I brought in the casino factor
Right.
and St. James is I want to say me and my big mouth went and proposed the casino. So when RWS opened, I heard they say there will be traffic jam, congestion at the causeway.
And then it came back and bit you in the back.
And then they cut a tunnel right across the connector to my car park. And the connector disappeared. That's the reason I'm bringing up the casino. Otherwise I wouldn't have brought it.
Oh, so it indirect, not
the
indirect,
connector is gone.
Impacted.
It completely impacted me. I decided then I can't extend the lease. I would not continue. Yeah.
Wait, turn around and bit you in the butt.
No, it's unintentional.
Yeah,
but
but
IR is much bigger than a night sport.
But then again, you came up with a great idea, and a great idea actually, pardon me for using the term loosely, screwed you guys over.
No irony of it all.
Yes, exactly.
I shot myself on the foot. Okay, I shot myself on the foot.
Yo. You became kind of popular over something you cited over the shortened liquor licenses as a reason for businesses losing out. Now,
no, I don't have to say that. After I said it, it became a reality. Happened. It's not, if I've said it, then you interview me.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Now it's after the whole thing has happened.
Yeah. So do you think then that there's any way to change the government's mind on this law?
You see, the thing is, that's why today it's maybe it's timely, I would say, then we take many things for granted. Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
We take everything for granted because, things were thriving. We could pick and choose,
Yeah.
And then we could reduce when we want because we have all the excesses.
Yes.
Today, and then at the end of the day, it equates to jobs.
Yes.
Jobs equate to the well-being of the citizenry.
Right.
So an unemployment status of a country, of a city is so important now. So today, looking back, I think when we had the excesses, either way, whether we treasure it then or we're going to treasure it in future, it would not make any difference because of COVID. So COVID is the sledgehammer that came down. More than sledgehammer, it's the nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear, yeah.
It's the fallout is going to be even worse.
Yeah.
Even
the global.
Yeah. I noticed that these days in clubs, we see a lot of young people who would pay big money for drink packages. You're talking about in $1,000, $2,000 worth of stuff, booze. Back in my day, if I can buy a jug or two, kind of like superhero.
No, I want to share this thing with you.
Yeah.
Before I got into the business, if I see people drink jug, I say, wow, these people must be something. And I end up selling them, Then I know, But
Dennis, on that note, I'm sorry to interrupt you. On that note, you talk about, when people like me started out back then, right? We enter into a club, we pay cover charge, we get one drink, we hold on to that drink the whole damn night.
I went through that. I told you at Pebble Bar in Tanya. One night, one drink. That's it.
Right? And you're right. Then after that, we as the years progress, we move on to one jug, two jugs. Hey, superhero, and then all the girls they come around because you got a booze on the table, right? Then a couple of years later, we buy a bottle. And I would normally stop at a bottle. I'm not going to go further than that. Today, the young people are buying bottles after bottles. They buy packages and stuff. And then one particular night, talking about my time, I was at Pleasure Dome. And I gotta tell you this. I was there with a bunch of friends of varying ages, respectable people, and there were about, I think, 4 or 5 of us. There was no place to sit. So if you recall, there was a space where it looks like wrought iron gates kind of stuff, but it's like private little niches built in. And we were ushered to sit in that space.
Part of Pleasure Dome?
Part of Pleasure Dome.
Oh, it was the Le Chateau. The wine bar next to it.
You're right.
You tell me the iron rod gates. I remember that.
And then we ordered a bottle of port.
Uh-huh.
Because back then we could still smoke in an outlet.
Yeah.
And we had cigars. So every time I'm out with these bunch of guys, we all want
now
to drink
white
port.
pot.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So we ordered a bottle of Coburn's, if I'm not mistaken. And then we sat down. And just about 10 to 15 minutes after that, your service staff came up to us and said, I'm sorry guys, but the boss actually reserved this spot and we forgot about it. And then you walked in.
Then?
And then, okay, get his food here, we gotta go. And you told us, no, sit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spontaneous. I would do that. That's why,
Yeah, you did that. You did that. You said, sit. I still have about 15 minutes to half an hour before my guests arrive.
I'm disappointed with myself.
Why?
No. I thought I would say, please use the room. You're here before me.
No. Because we also told you, say, we respect the fact that,
okay.
I mean, you're the owner of the place and you made, you actually made a reservation. We know that.
Okay.
Right, and we wanted to be Gracious,
Unless I have important guests,
I
important.
think they were because
I wouldn't, pick a room because one of the things I learned, I don't indulge in my business. So I don't think I should be given priority. Customer must come first.